detection, problem logging. Similar to incident management, you need to go for problem categorization and prioritization. What is categorization? Again, it's very simple. It could be a software or it could be a hardware. Let's say on a server, the server has gone down for some reason, and you're writing a problem statement. We'll come to a problem statement a little later with one of these examples, right? And the issue is nothing to do with the software. So the server was perfectly fine. We were able to connect it via console and stuff like that, right? So we were able to ping the server, and one fine day we happened to see that the hard disk is the HDD is crushed, right? So what does it require? It requires the replacement of hard disk drive. Now, what is more important? The data in that, right? So we'll come to that a little later, right? So now we categorize whether it's a software or a hardware. Now imagine if it's a critical server. Would you really wait for now let's say there were two more incidents that had occurred before, and there's the third incident, but this particular server that came the third incident, right, that was the third, um, is more critical than the other two CIs that were impacted. So you prioritize which one do I fix first, because if I don't fix this first, the third incident, the number three, if I don't make it as my priority, then I'm going to have more business loss, because that's a critical server and I don't have a hard disk drive to replace it. And why did it crash? That's what we need to find out, right? Replacing part would be could be during an incident, right, which should be an ideal case, but replacement itself will take a longer time. Now you need to understand this, the whole picture in this way, right? So let's say the hard disk drive has gone down, right? It's broken. Nobody is going to keep a hard disk drive of the server in the pockets just to go ahead and replace it. That requires a maintenance ticket, or you need a hardware person to go ahead and look where the problem is, look which rack it is, and find the server first in first place. Go ahead there and make sure that he is an authorized person to enter into the data center. I'm talking about a traditional data center, guys. I'm not even talking about the cloud. We'll come to cloud a little later. I'm planning to make a video on that as well, right? So he goes ahead and and imagine if he doesn't have a hard disk, a replacement hard disk at the moment. They'll have to ship it from a warehouse, so that's going to take time. So until then, going back to incident management, how can we save the business? Ask them for a workaround. Ask them if we can move the entire application that is hosted on this server. Can we move it to another server, and etc. Whatnot and whatnot. Look for the workarounds, right? Or we can build that complete application onto a new server, because if this replacement is going to take about 8 to 6 hours, can we do this application build or spin up this application onto a new server? Right? It could be maybe a virtual server or a physical server for that matter. Let's say this was a physical server. Do we have an option to spin up this application on a virtual server, which is nowadays it's so simple in a matter of click, right? Now, technology is so advanced, guys. In about 5 to 10 seconds, you can set up the whole data center in cloud, right? Anyway, let's not go that deep in, because I want to talk about cloud as well. Now, that's an incident. Now, what is problem? Problem management is to identify why was there a crash on the hard disk drive. Right, so that's what we're doing. So an incident, when we resolve it, so problem was detected, we raised a problem ticket, right? Then we locked that problem into that ticket. Then we provided a chronology of that ticket, which I think not most of the companies do that today. I feel that problem ticket, when it is raised, there should be some time that should be given to major incident managers to go ahead and major incident managers to provide that chronology and attach it to that problem to the problem ticket, which I feel they don't do it immediately, and they get enormous time to do that, which that's where I think the whole delay occurs. If there are people who are actually giving them the timeline that, okay, you have resolved a problem, sorry, a major incident, and you get about 2 3 hours to submit your chronology. It is very simple. They have to go to ServiceNow, copy paste the entire thing, or you can export the complete notes and give them, because it's just a timestamp of what happened, who did what, like I said, right? So that's very simple anyway. So you categorize and prioritize it, then you look for problem analysis. Now this is the most important thing, guys. The fifth step that I'm talking here is where the entire problem management lies, right? The problem analysis for looking at viable solutions or potential, call it as a potential solutions that you have, or build solutions. Okay, follow some of the techniques to reach there, to identify, uh, follow techniques to find what is the problem and how can we build solutions to it. How can we set up um, monitoring tools or anything that we want to, after resolving the problem that has occurred and fixing the root cause of that incident, then we want to make sure that we are into a good state of monitoring so that this does not occur after we have done everything, right? So then we have a problem closure, right? After problem closure, now you can call this as monitoring state. See, there are different terminologies. Yeah, you can go to Google and you can find out what this looks like, right? What are the workflow of here? So I'll make it very simple: problem detection, problem logging, categorization and prioritization, problem analysis that requires your problem statement, that requires what technique are you going to follow. Based on the technique, now you need to build up viable or potential solutions. Now you need to understand which of those solutions is the best of those best, that we can really implement it. And it's also dependent, that solution could be dependent on the cost as well. If you want to select a best solution that might have that might be a little expensive or it's a costly affair, then you don't want to do that. Then you want to see something that you can do a similar to it, but it's not a costly affair. Yeah, so compromising on the cost is okay, but not compromising on the cost too much is not going to help you. As an industry, you need to understand compromising on the cost. I agree, you need to save money. Cost reduction is possible in other various sectors, and maybe you can do it. You can follow FinOps if you're into cloud, or even traditional data centers or traditional setup can still follow FinOps sort of a framework, basically, right? So to save cost, but don't compromise on fixing something that is giving you a business loss or a business impact, right? Now, so that's your problem analysis, where you first follow any of the techniques to reach to that place. What happened, why did it happen? First, what happened, right? What's the problem statement? Why did it happen is something that we need to follow one of the techniques. And then with that technique, we need to know who's doing what. How can we make sure that this cause can be eliminated completely, which we will take one small example and understand. Then we have a problem closure, where we give them the artifacts. These are the things that we did. Here are the facts that we have provided you. But remember, when we are giving the facts, it is important, when you're doing this problem detection and logging, right? It is important to take the artifacts as well, that the problem even exists in first place. So problem management is not simple as that incident is going on, you can write it. Problem management takes a lot of data from most of the people who are relevant to that incident or relevant to that issue. Like anything can give us a small hint that the problem can even impact something else, right? So I would that's what I was telling. The last part is, after problem closure, you need to look for the problem relationships, right? This is nowhere written, but I call this as a problem relationships. At the end, after you analyze and you fix the issue, and you have completely eliminated the cause of that issue. Now you need to understand if there is any relationship for the problem with some of the CIs. That is why I said that the whole example that I gave you, a terrorist attack would have been one best problem statement to save any country for that matter, right? To avoid this terrorist coming into our country and creating this chaos, right? If you're very specific about that particular problem, which is good for that time being, but when you are doing this problem relationships, when the last sixth step, which is something that I've created, and this is very, very helpful in my organization, right? You need to understand that problem management, problem relationship can, if you don't take care of this or don't look after this, then you will have a similar incident that's happening. Okay, now So this is pretty clear, and I hope it's making sense to you guys. I know I'm fumbling a little bit because I haven't done my lunch. It's about time for my lunch, but I really have no slot otherwise to do this video. I'm kind of occupied with a lot of things, guys. So sorry for the delay in first place. I want to really say sorry to a lot of people who personally messaged me and also messaged me on LinkedIn and YouTube saying create a problem management video. Now let's follow one of the technique, right? Let me give you one random example so that you all understand. Let me sit down for a minute. A random example that how to do problem management following a technique or